As of today, Invincible Season 4 is now finally complete, and all I can say right now is that this season was absolutely incredible. I thoroughly enjoyed this season of Invincible Season 4 because everything seemed to hit in every capacity, story-wise, character-wise, and I thoroughly enjoyed the conclusion that came out today. And frankly, I just wanted to talk about my thoughts about the show going to its conclusion, because frankly, at first I would think I would do like a rewrite video, but realistically, I don't have any questions or problems with it. Maybe some small things for future seasons, but in the grand scheme and for the most part, everything's pretty Gucci. I thoroughly enjoyed Mark's arc from the beginning and end of the season because this man went through absolute hell just to survive this season, going through everything. Not only finding out that his girlfriend had to abandon the child that they could have had since he was leaving, and she chose not to tell him because she knew good and well that he was going to stay on the planet and put the entirety of the universe at risk. This man also finding out that the planet is being hunted out by some of the most strongest Viltrumites to ever exist. This man got skewered by conquest on a random planet and had to recover for months while unconscious. This man had to face off one of the strongest Viltrumites in the entire freaking race, all of them, and literally couldn't do a single thing, not a fraction of damage. They had to resort to blowing up the planet, pulling a Frieza just to even do any form of damage to him, and it's all just psychological. They couldn't do an ounce of physical damage. I also really enjoyed Omniman's arc in this entire series because from the very beginning up to now, especially in this season, we are going through the proper renditions of how redemption should be done for a character, or more accurately, atonement. Because a character like Omniman isn't someone you can just easily forgive, especially because of all the atrocities that committed from the very beginning of the series. This man is trying to interact with everyone, trying his best to appease to them, telling them it's like, I am not the same person that I once was before. But we must understand, in the very beginning of the series, we saw the bloods of innocence on your hands, and not only that, you beat the brakes off of your own son into a mountain, and everyone saw it. You split the Immortal in half with your hands because the Immortal was already killed in the very beginning. He was the only one who could realistically come back and point to him and say, hey, he's the one who killed the original Guardians of the Globe, who probably could have actually done something if he was. But even then, the Guardians of the Globe has always been garbage, absolute trash. But I really like how they're going the way of how he's supposed to atone for himself throughout the series. I know in the comics it's still relatively similar, but I haven't read the comics and I'm choosing to run to the show, and then maybe when I reach a certain point when I'm comfortable with the show a lot more, which I already am, I'm probably interested in reading the comics anyways, I most likely will buy the first compendium and read through it and see all the changes that they did, because I'm already well familiar with some of the changes now. Even right now, like with the Thrag conversation that happened in this recent episode, technically it was supposed to be with Mark and Omniman, and they were in their suits. Like pretty much as soon as they pulled up to Earth, Thrag was waiting for them. But I actually really liked how they build up to it because they are leaning in to the emotional impact that Mark went through the majority of this season. This man is having real PTSD flashbacks. This man is really just seeing everything go bad in his own mind. He believes that people are going to get eviscerated at any moment in time, and he has every right to feel that way. And when he actually sees Thrag, he's forced to make such a harrowing decision of whether or not to let the Viltrumites just live in their society and try to build up their empire again by sleeping and gaining and rebuilding their empire by sleeping with human creatures and trying to build children out of that. Like, this is really one of the most horrific moments of Mark's life, and this man is going through it. Every other character seems to be alright for the most part. Like, Alan is still pretty fun. Alan is still a cool character. I still like Oliver a little bit. Like, Oliver, for a character, I'm like indifferent to his character, so like I don't really know how to feel about him because I was indifferent for him in the very beginning, and then I'm still kind of indifferent about him now because he's like an angsty teenager. But either way, you know, he's not like a big complaint for me for the show. I hope it does improve later on, because I believe if I've seen bits and pieces of the comics later on, Oliver does improve as a character, but then I don't know if that's what the path that they're going for, because they have some comic consistencies in the show, but they have changed a lot of stuff as we gone along. The only character that I am very surprised that I would expect to get more from, but we didn't really get much of, is Tech Jacket. Because Tech Jacket, as much as she is like a cool concept as a cool character in terms of ability, she doesn't really show why she's a very valuable asset to the entirety of the coalition of planets, because they say like, oh, she has the alien tech and she is strong enough to actually attack against the Viltrumites, because they are a race of people who generally are stronger against Viltrumites, hence why they have not been able to actually take over their planet. But even when she's fighting against them, she hasn't really exactly done anything crazy, like except for that one Kamehameha blast beam that she blasted out of her head in that one fight against the Viltrumites when she was trying to escape. But in the grand scheme, she's always been like tossed around by Alan so she doesn't die. She used the darts that came from the crab creatures or slug creatures that Alan told him about, and yeah, she was just kind of like a support character, which I wanted to see more of how she was supposed to be this valiant force against the Viltrumites, showing that she's actually a sustainable character. But in terms of strength, at least. In terms of otherwise of her character, she doesn't have anything that's very definitive. Like, she's like the character that's out of the loop out of everyone, so I can understand why they don't really focus too much on her. But I would have hoped that they would lean into a little bit more into like understand why she's valuable to them. But in the grand scheme, that's not really a major complaint. Maybe in the next season we'll see more, but in the grand scheme, I'm not really the biggest fan of it. And I really did like how they did Thrag. Thrag actually seems like a genuine threat, given that how everyone has been complaining and trying to understand the power scaling of Viltrumites, which is really an annoying thing to even think about sometimes, because I thought about it sometimes too when I look at Alan, because when Alan got his Zenkai boost after meeting Anissa, and he was able to like duff Anissa once and actually make her bleed, so I thought that Alan alone would be good enough to actually take down at least one Viltrumite on his own. But when he's at the war, he doesn't seem like to actually maintain the string. He keeps getting like knocked around, so I always thought, I'm like, was Wise Bro playing around? But either way, I really did like how they presented Thrag. Thrag was a genuine threat. He was terrifying, he was scary. Like, a lot of people were complaining about his voice, but I feel like his voice still fits his character decently enough. I understand that some people thought it would have been better if he was voiced by like the Jiren voice actor, and I can see why people would say that, trust me, I do. But he's doing a really good job also with just the slow pauses in his voice, with the dialogue that he's being saying, and also when he actually goes into fights. Like, I really liked how he screamed, I would rather choose death, when the entire planet gets blown up and they're saying like, hey, Viltrumite, it's time to pack it up, and he's like, nah, I'm gonna choose death, and he screams out and starts ripping Thaddeus's head off. I legitimately was like, yeah, this man is cooking. So I got used to his voice, so I'm like, I was really happy with his voice. I was gonna say like, let him cook, like just let him cook a little bit. He got it, and he did a good job personally. And Thrag being how he is, especially at the very end, knowing good and well that Mark can't beat him, he has the utmost highest amount of strength to actually use against everyone else, so he can just make any terms that he wants. He can make all of these things happen. He's saying like, look, I will kill everyone here and kill you if you get in our way, and he can back it up with all of his words. This is one of the greatest iterations of how to show someone is very terrifying and has the strength to back it up. But of course, one of the negatives is the animation. I was never like the biggest hater of the animation, trust me, but I will say that this was some of the few egregious moments. Like, there were some frames I thought it could have been done a lot better, but you can tell that it was not nearly as well put together compared to season 1. Now, I understand season 1 took about, I think, like 2 to 3, maybe 4 years. I don't remember how long it took. I believe it was like around that time frame to make it, so that's why Invincible season 1 was incredibly better compared to the other seasons after it. But in the grand scheme, in terms of consistency, given I believe like Robert Kirkman said himself that he wanted to avoid the conversation of people saying like, oh, we don't want to lose hype between the next 2 to 3 years, etc, etc, so that's why we were aiming to go for every single year. And like, I get why he does that, I get why he's saying that, but I personally would have been like, okay, maybe if you want to, you can squeeze it to like maybe 2 years, so that way like, okay, if next year hits and 2 years down, you can have a little bit more time, a little bit more wiggle room to improve the animation a little bit better. Because I still remember the frame that I saw, if I can put it up without the video getting into trouble, I'll put it up. of when Omni-Man is supposed to pick up Debbie in the final episode to take her to the spaceship, and she just picked up like a cardboard cutout. Like, don't get me wrong, I can see the charm in it because there's some frames that are just a little bit too funny for me to like, bro, I'm glad it's there. It's just super funny to see. But also, I get why people are complaining about that. And I can understand why people would say, like, we would rather you give us more time, we'll give you more time to give us better animation for the next season, so that way we can enjoy the story and the animation that you can provide, because it's not like they can't do it. Like, it's only mainly in key moments that they decided to do really good animation, like with the Thrag fight, with the fight with Omni-Man and Thrag. Like, that stuff is really cool. But they clearly are saying, like, look, we would rather save it for the key moments, and then every other moment we will be a little bit less, I guess, quote unquote attentive. I don't want to say the word, I don't want to say that they're not being attentive, that's not the word I want to say, but it kind of feels that way to a degree, and I get it, but still, I would have rather them wait more time. But in the grand scheme, I didn't really have that major concerns about the show. I do believe that I think something I may not like in the future, because it happens in the comics and it's kind of confirmed that it looks like they're going that path. I don't know for sure, because they can always change it, because they already changed, you know, a lot of different characters. Like Shrinking Ray used to be a guy, now Shrinking Ray is a girl, and same thing with Tech Jacket. I do not want Debbie to get back with Nolan. I can understand why they might go that way. Trust me, I get it. I understand completely. Like, I grew up on Dragon Ball. I know the whole genocide to husband pipeline. I'm the biggest fan of the Saiyan Vegeta. The man committed countless atrocities for multiple races of people to multiple planets, committed multiple genocides, and attacked Earth, hurt Goku, destroyed a lot of different people's lives and whole things, and literally was domesticated by a blue-haired scientist. And trust me, I get it. Like, I like Vegeta, I love Vegeta, but in the grand scheme, like, would I want to see Nolan with Debbie? I was getting used to Debbie and Paul. I'm not even gonna be mad at you. I was getting used to it. But I mean, if they go down that route, I feel like they should do it a little bit more in a digestible way, because it feels weird if Debbie decides to kind of just over time, like if the next season they get back together. I feel like they shouldn't get back together in the next season. Maybe they could become friendly, like they become like, you know, friends, you know, fist bump, but in the grand scheme, I don't really want them to get back together. So that was like one thing that kind of concerns me by the end of this season, but not everything seems to be pretty Gucci. And you know, Thick Eve was always a good shot, and you know, I knew people were gonna start pointing that out when the season got to that point, because Thick Eve is something that happens in the comics. So I was like, I wonder how people are gonna react to that, and people have been very positive, so I'm very happy about that. But yeah, that's all I gotta say about Invincible season 4. I hope to see more from it. I can't wait for the next season. I hope the animation improves over time. There's not really any other major negatives I gotta say about it. Until then, let me know what you guys feel about Invincible season 4. Leave a like on this video if you like videos like this as well. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the channel for other videos like this. It's your boy Kadukun. I'll see you guys next time, and peace.
FMA, handle business, don't play. On point when it comes to the anime. Jack and Daxter, ayy, let's go. The ultimate heroes, don't stop, we on the road. Kadukun. Yeah, welcome to the channel.